Hi, Chris. My name's Matthew from Built. And basically, what I wanted to do was just record a video of me going through your website. I've made a few notes already of points that I'd like to cover off. And really, what I want to do is give you some practical advice and information on steps that you can take yourself to improve your website's performance. So, without any further ado, I'm just going to get straight into it. So, initial thoughts, I have quite a few. I like the top banner where you've got your contact information prominently displayed. That's nice. I also like the banner in general. I think it's just quite neatly laid out. And it's got a clear call to action. This button here, the image in the background clearly just shows what you do. So that's absolutely fine. The thing that I was confused about were these two items in the top right. So this is kind of like a basket shop cart area, and then there's this section here for signing in or creating an account. So that is something that is quite unusual for a plumber's website. So I don't know if that is something that you do. I couldn't find any actual purchase anything to buy on the shop. I don't know if that falls under your book online form, but if there isn't any sort of e-commerce functionality to the website, if you're not actually selling any products, you might just want to hide these here. But certainly at the moment, it's just maybe a little bit confusing. But it's if it's being used, then that's absolutely fine. One thing that I think, well, there's a couple things that I think that are missing. Firstly, there's no logo on the website. I think even just a nice, simple, basic logo would go a long way and help tie it all together, make you come across as more professional. So I would highly recommend that. We do offer a logo design service ourselves, but you don't have to go with us to have that done. There are plenty of designers out there that will do a great job for you. And the other thing that I think is missing, I do like the color scheme in general. I do like the gray, the silver, the black. It looks nice and neat. However, that being said, I do think it needs a little bit more color on the website, especially for stuff like this, like the buttons. I just think that having these in whatever color you think would fit your branding, whether that's a blue, a light blue, a green, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be super loud and neon, but I do think you need some sort of color to make the website pop and stand out, especially the things you want to draw people's attention to, because really you want to get them paying attention to this button so they can click on it. So I would just bear that in mind as well. And then, yeah, scrolling down the website, I do really like this picture of you. Maybe if you can make it even a little bit bigger, that'd be great. Not enough trades put an image of themselves on the website, and I think that's such a shame, because a lot of the time when someone wants to go with a local business, they want to know that they're going with someone who's trustworthy, friendly, personable. There's a reason they're not going to go with a national company, and they want that personal service. And I think having an image on your website just helps build trust almost immediately, because they're like, okay, if I call this guy, I know what he looks like. I know I'm not going to be shocked when he comes to my door, or anything like that. I'm immediately like, this is a real person. This is a real company. This isn't just some scam artist. And yeah, I think that will just go a long way. So I do really like the fact that you've included that, and I like the intro that you've included here. So that's great as well. So going down, I like how the services are laid out. With the only minor tweak that I would recommend is having them the same length, because as you can see here, the buttons just kind of jump up and down. Ideally, it would be great to have them more in a straight line, more even. I don't know whether that's possible, and it is a minor point, but I think having that would make this even tidier and cleaner looking. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. And then the next thing, I really like the fact that you've got reviews. People can scroll through as well, which is great to see. I do really like this section. The only thing I don't like is the big massive C that's at the top. I assume that stands for customer. So customer in Reading or anything like that. If it's possible, I would just have that removed. I don't know if you look after your website or someone else does, but I think that doesn't need to be there. I think the fact it's so big as well, it's bigger than the 5 stars. And really you want to draw people's attention to the star rating or the review itself as opposed to just a generic kind of icon. So I think that will help. I do really like this section here. It's got pretty much everything that you need. Easy ways to get in touch with you, even a link for WhatsApp, general office hours, out of hours, emergency info, which is great. So I do really like that. You've also got helpful links, which I think is cool. So I do really like this section here. I think once we go past this point, I would expect the page to end. But there's this big section here about us. And to be honest, it makes the homepage quite long in terms of scrolling down. And I think it doesn't really flow. You've already introduced yourself, your business here. You go into the services, all this stuff. And then you go back to the About Us. Honestly, I think this could sit on its own page. If you just have an About link here in the top menu. I think that would work really well. So that would be my 2 cents there. But otherwise, I do like the fact that you've included an About section. And again, maybe one bit of feedback, again, is to include some more images of yourself or of your own work. I think that would go a long way as well. Stock imagery is fine up until a point. You probably want to use it more for background images like this one and this one, but especially when you're talking about you and your business, it would be great to have some of your own imagery there. Okay, cool. So going on to the other pages of the website, this I found really interesting, the areas we cover section. This is a really sound SEO strategy. So if you're not familiar with the term already, SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's a fancy jargon way of saying the things done to a website to get it to rank in Google. So this is an SEO tactic that we like to use ourselves, where we are focusing on a specific service, a specific area, with the intent to get you ranking for anyone searching for that. So for example, if someone puts in, plumber in Ford's Farm or plumber in Tileshurst, you come up for that. The issue that I saw with this is that these pages are pretty, I don't know if there's any difference between them. Certainly a lot of this text, I had a look and it just looks like exact carbon copy of content on the homepage, on other pages of the website. So while it's a really sound strategy to have all these pages, at the moment, they're not really worth anything because Google likes to see pages with unique content. If it just sees the same page has been duplicated a bunch of times, it's not going to pay attention to the duplicates. It's going to say, okay, this was the original page. I'll focus on this one. The rest is not relevant because it's been copied and pasted. So based on that feedback, what I would highly recommend is just to reword all of this information. Now, you don't have to completely reinvent the wheel and have a different layout for each, but ideally you would have different text, so the way it's worded, you'd have different images. But really what you want to do is just say to Google, hey, these are unique pages, please come and visit. Because I did have a look at, for example, Plumber and Ford's Farm, as well as a couple others, and I noticed that you weren't ranking highly for that. So that would be a concern to me, especially because I'm not particularly familiar with the areas surrounding Reading, but they did seem like quite small areas by just by the names of them. And so I did a bit of research, and it looks like a lot of them are like villages with only a few thousand people in them. So whether you think it's worthwhile having all of these pages for such small areas, maybe you focus on larger towns in the area. That's completely up to you. But those would be my two main takeaways: is make sure that it's unique content on each page, and make sure that you're targeting areas that are worth your time and effort, basically. Cool. Onto services. Again, I would just recommend to use your own images. Adding more and more content to these would be great for Google's point of view. But overall they're quite sound. It's a nice simple design, and there's information on here. If anything, I would just say is add more, maybe add contact information on each page as well. Okay, going on to the contact page. Again, this is kind of similar to the homepage one, so there's nothing really new I wanted to say here. The only thing was the contact map. I think it's just zoomed in quite quite heavily. So I think it was like here. So what I would just say is maybe just zoom out a little, well, maybe not that far. Yeah, maybe zoom in zoom out a little bit just so people get a rough idea of where in Reading you're based. They don't need to know your exact location. It's not like you have a shop front where you have like a showroom. I assume not anyway. So they don't need to see exactly where on the street, but they do want to see roughly where you're based, so they know if you cover their area basically. And then the last thing I saw was the book online feature, which I thought was really cool. I really like this. I had a look at this in particular, and I do like the fact it's obviously being fed real information, because I can't book on the same day. The earliest I can book is tomorrow afternoon at 3. So I assume this plugs into your calendar that you already use, which is great. Hopefully this is working well for you. I certainly think this is a cool thing to have on your website, as long as you're keeping on top of it and keeping on top of appointments coming in, and people aren't booking in things when they shouldn't be, basically. As long as that's working from your side, I think this would be really cool for a customer's point of view. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful. If you do have any questions that you have about anything I've covered off or about the websites that we build at Built, just let me know. I'm more than happy to cover things off in email, phone call, whatever. Just let me know how I can help. And yeah, hopefully you find this just very helpful in general. Thanks, and speak soon. Bye-bye.